The country's constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man
is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
WESN.
Hello there, and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you very much for joining us this morning as we continue to follow the developments happening within the People's National Movement. Uh, from an external standpoint, the latest coming from Battersea House was a meeting of the Central Executive Committee yesterday. That was described as being very short. We do not know exactly what was discussed during that meeting, but the consensus from those who attended the meeting and who were willing to speak to the media indicated that all was well. Now, it doesn't necessarily seem that case. Not much was seen or said to suggest all is well. But we are now aware that the General Council of the party is due to meet this Saturday, so that is tomorrow. There were signs of solidarity amongst MPs, particularly more noticeably between Stuart Young and Penelope Beckles, whose two names were put forward as candidates to be the next Prime Minister following the departure of Dr. Keith Rowley. Well, they hugged, but again, nothing much otherwise to suggest all is well, all is positive, and things are being sorted out. But we are just observing from an external standpoint, a lot is happening internally, and that is where we start our conversation this morning as it relates to how we got to this point and exactly where we are heading. I'm joined this morning by the former vice chairman of the party, Mr. Robert Lahunt. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Shah, and welcome. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, sir. First of all, is this situation that is being played out, is it being blown out of proportion? Are we making too much of an issue that does not necessarily exist, from the aspect that we are confusing the role of political leader with the role of Prime Minister?
Peter, I hear you, and I mean, actually, there are some who have actually made that point. The reality, though, it is very difficult to separate the two positions. There is really the role of the Prime Minister and the political leader, but even within our own constitution, our constitution itself recognizes the role of political parties. The first and the primary role in selecting the Prime Minister in the first aspect of the Constitution speaks about the person who is the political leader of the party winning the majority of seats. So the Constitution in other parts talked about the crossing the floor if you are a member of the House and you choose to leave your party. So our Constitution recognizes the role of political parties, and therefore there is a role that needs to be played within the Constitution. And when most of, not only Trinidad Constitution, most of the Commonwealth constitutions for both the political party and entwined within the Constitution. So at this point in time, it is really two separate organs. Yes, I agree. But there are great linkages between both of them, and hence the reason why we are here where we are.
Last year, in following the news that the special convention of the party was cancelled, the reason put forward was that traditionally the People's National Movement do not hold a special convention in the year that a general election is due. You raised a number of concerns during this particular time. Would you say that such concerns are now coming to fruition, that they are actually happening, that they are being realized?
Well, if you go back, you're casting mind back to that time. And I mean, and this whole idea that the party does not hold, there are things within the party that are within our Constitution, and there are traditions of the party to start with. There is nothing within the Constitution that says that you should not hold. You cannot hold an election within a convention within an election. That's a tradition of the party. Two, I mean, I think my colleague and the Labor Relations Officer of the party, Jennifer Baptiste-Primus, she explained very clearly or debunked that theory when when the convention was to be held in December, the reason why it was supposed to be held in December, that was a decision taken by the leadership of the party, by the central executive of the party, by the general council of the party, for that election to be held, so not the election, that convention was to be held in December. And therefore, this concept, that particular, the timing reason was not entirely valid as for its postponement at that particular time, because the party do not traditionally hold a convention in an election year. The election year is 2025. And therefore, hence the reason for that same body, the same leadership who canceled the convention, they were the ones that proposed the date of December for that convention, and that was ratified at the highest level of the leadership. You'll recall at that time, I mean, my beef at that time always and continue to be, whenever I see the rights of the rank and file members of the party losing an opportunity that for them to be able to exercise their rights, I am one that always have concern. I have been a member of the party for a very long time, over 35 years, and I've worked in the vineyards and at all leadership levels within the party. And therefore, I understand the role and the responsibility of the party member in ensuring that we remain as a vibrant political party. So I am always going to fight and ensure that their role, they are never disenfranchised. And therefore, my big beef at that time was, one, how did the party just simply get up? And the leadership cannot take that responsibility to cancel the convention. And two, I felt that there were senior officers that the party was about to engage in the screening. The party was about to enter an election year. There were certain critical positions coming up for elections at that convention. And I felt it was important that the membership have a say in ensuring that the members of the screening committee, who ultimately are the members who make the decision, who are the MPs and who go up for the election, should have a say. So I'm always very clear about ensuring that the membership have a say, as they rightfully should be done, in making the critical decisions.
Well, you've described the path that Dr. Keith Rowley has taken as being morally questionable, and you've indicated from your standpoint that there has been manipulation on the part using party organs to deploy such manipulation. Please expand on that and tell us more exactly what you mean by such statements.
Well, as I said, when you look at the present process, you look at our constitution and you look at where we are, we have a prime minister that has decided that he has looked at his time and has decided to retire. He would like to move on to do other things. At this point in time, therefore, I feel that our constitution speaks to the person that is elected as a prime minister should be the person who is the political leader of the party in charge. There's another section in the Constitution that caters for should that person not be available, which is what will happen, then they have provisions for the election of a prime minister in another way. That being said, and that is really the path that we are now going down. Now, it is my view that that particular section of the Constitution, the Part B, was really geared to ensure that, one, if, for example, you have a coalition government where no one has a majority, then someone needs to emerge from the parliament as the prime minister. If there is a sudden death, there is a reason to elect someone that way. So yes, that provision could allow for it to happen. In my mind, that should not be there is no reason within the time frame now, we are not in a crisis situation, no one has died. The first and foremost and the most appropriate method to select a prime minister would be via option A, which is to allow the political leader of the party that commands the majority. If Dr. Rowley, at this point in time, where he was elected as a political leader, and in that election, the party members ensured no one envisaged a position where he would choose to want to separate the two positions or would want to resign in office. As such, my preferred position would be, and the position that I think would be in keeping with traditions that has happened throughout the world when matters like this happen, the Prime Minister will advise his party that he would like to retire, he would like to resign, he wants to leave office, and the party should be given the opportunity, because there is time, to select a new political leader. And once that is done, that person automatically will be the person that will be the Prime Minister. That is the traditional approach. That is how this matter should have been handled. And therefore, my preference would be for it to continue along that particular line. Under that approach, you will result in the party members, and I've always spoken about this, the rank and file members, the people who are the ones that will be called upon for us to be able to be elected. We are entering into an election year. And it is critical in an election year that you have a unified party and you have a party that could rally around a particular individual as our political leader. I think this is the opportunity and this should be the approach. And really, in keeping very consistent with what I had advocated before, that we should utilize all opportunities to allow the rank and file party member to have his rightful say. Those are the actions that unify the party. That is what is required. Those are the individuals that make up the party, and these people have a right, and we should never try to disenfranchise them. As such, although I feel that, yes, legally, we could elect a prime minister under the Constitution under Part A. Under Part B, I think in light of the fact that there is no rush, there isn't a rush, there isn't an emergency, no one has died, I think the rightful place for someone holding such a critical position in our country as the prime minister of the country, I think we as the members of the country need to be assured that that person at least has the support of the party that they are representing in government.
Mr. Lunt, the convention, according to Dr. Rowley, is due to be held at the end of September, but this has been described as too late due to the impending general election. When is the convention allowed to be held? According to the party's constitution, what is the nearest time the convention can be held? Is it also possible for Stuart Young to be in the role of Prime Minister while the political leader of the People's National Movement is decided before a general election is called?
Well, I mean, even you trying to put that together in words sounds a little bit confusing, I think. Let's go back and let's talk about exactly what you're saying. You asked whether or not it was mentioned that a convention should be held sometime in September. Yes, I think the Prime Minister, as you had mentioned, The Prime Minister has indicated clearly that he would like to go, and he has indicated that he would like to probably exit office without giving an exact date. Right? We know he would like to attend the CARICOM meeting, and I would expect that based on the readings and what I've seen, his departure should be sometime around March. All right. At that point in time, the answer to your second, it is possible. It is possible within the time frames of the party's convention, the highest or the second highest body within the PNM is the central executive, is the general council, and therefore that general council, with adequate time, 30 days, they could put measures in place for us to have a voting for a new political leader and also a convention to install that new political leader. And that could happen constitutionally under the PNM, could happen by as the early March. So there could be the two dates could actually coincide with some discussions with the Prime Minister exactly. Under that process, the party simply elects a new political leader. And I think the party, if we have to say, it is important that the party is entering an election year. The PNM is entering an election year. We all are aware of that. And I think it is critical that the party be given, has to do what is right to ensure that the party has the best chance of success in an election. The reason for political parties is for you to win national elections. And the party deserves to have a full-time, a political leader in place who is going to take them through to the next election. I find it very confusing. I think it is not going to be acceptable to be able to sell to the general membership, not to the general, to the country, and in an election that you have a political leader who is about to demit office, who is not going up in the party, and a political leader who will be elected as your leader after the general election is passed. And I'm assuming by September, I have no privy to no information, but I assume by that time, the election would have then passed. And therefore, I see no reason for us to be able, there's no reason to do that, especially when we have time at this point in time to allow for the general membership to elect a new political leader, and as is catered for in the Constitution, that person would be able to be the next Prime Minister of the country, right? It is important for the PNM in winning any election on any political party. We need to solidify our base. We need our base support. We need our base support, and there is nothing better and any attempt in my mind to disenfranchise the base, especially when there is time to allow them to happen, I think is a little bit disrespectful to the base of the party. And therefore, this General Council meeting, which brings us to this meeting, is the meeting that I hope will resolve this matter and set a date for that convention, set a date for the election of a political leader for the party, and then the party will have a clear idea as to our political leader, our future, and be able to put a united front to the country.
In that regard, Mr. LaHunt, the public relations aspect of this is that you and I have often said the People's National Movement seem very much like a unified party, a united party. Has this done more harm than good? It's shown that the party is very much susceptible to instability. And in the instance of the base of which you keep referring to, has it done a lot to cause a split, rather, and any opportunity to unify the party before general election is being eroded upon?
Well, at the end of the day, I think our political party are made up of human beings. all of us, and citizens of this country. And as in any organization that you have human beings, it is understandable that you have different points of views. And I think some degree of conflict, some degree of individualism, there is nothing like a collective mind, is important. So I disagree the fact that people have different views. On numerous occasions during our time, our existing Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley, as you are aware, he has had a lot of different views with the leadership of the party itself. And he has voiced those views. And the traditions of the party is that we are made up of strong individuals who are able to unite for the national good of the people and the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago. So the fact that we are having different views on an approach, or we might, for example, enter into an election for a political leader, and I would expect that a lot of people might emerge out of that process, including Mr. Stuart Young. And therefore, the party will have an opportunity to hear more about Mr. Stuart Young, to see and to other participants, and the selection of a person. That is the democratic process of the organization. So having different views doesn't necessarily mean that there is bitterness, as our members have demonstrated. There isn't bitterness among members. People have different views. They strongly feel that what it is right and what is wrong. I have expressed my view, but that I'm in no way believe that I am no longer a member of the PNM, or I am against the PNM in any particular way. So I debunk that particular notion at all, that because you have a different view, that you could disagree, but you don't have to be disagreeable.
In that regard, do you have a preferred candidate to be the next political leader of the People's National Movement?
And that you will never get out, you never get from me. I mean, as you have noted, I am very clear in my process. I am very clear about the process. I've come from a management perspective. One thing that I've learned is that the process is just as important as the end result. Even from a management of your business, a lot of times you might know the right answer, but how you go about getting that right answer implemented in a business will determine how much buying you have and the eventual success. And therefore, from my perspective, it is important that we follow a process that will allow buying, that will facilitate the membership. And I keep going back to them because the reality is 22 people, they are backed by a constituency of over 25,000 people. PNM have over 100,000 members at this point in time. And therefore, I think these are the people, not the ones, not the leaders, not the MPs. The membership are the ones that we need to mobilize and ensure that they get involved. And nothing mobilizes anyone better than you feeling that you have been consulted and you had a chance to exercise that responsibility. I have looked at the resume. The country has had a look at the resume of Mr. Young. And I mean, of course, he's a hard-working PNM minister. And therefore, as a PNM, he has the support of a number of all members of the PNM. But I think we have a number of other individuals, or we might not. What the process brings up, it doesn't matter what the process, but we need to follow on a process that will facilitate buying, that will facilitate unification, and especially when there is no need for a rush. The Constitution caters for it. It is very simple. We set a date for the convention, we set a date for an election. That happens right after Carnival. The Prime Minister decides he wants to depart around right after Carnival. We speak, we synchronize that process, we ensure that it happens smoothly, and the country then therefore gets a prime minister who they know has emerged from the party that commands the majority in parliament. So the country gets that. The PNM as a party and its membership gets involved in the process, and we move forward as a country under new leadership of the PNM and under new leadership of the party. Dr. Rowley has made his decision. No one, and you have heard before, and even myself, I'm one that was very supportive of Dr. Rowley. No one was pushing Dr. Rowley out of office. Nobody wanted Dr. Rowley to leave, and I think people would have gladly liked him to stay on. He has made a personal decision after 45 years, and I think that people have to respect that. And the same way that he has moved on, the PNM needs to do what is right for its organization and move on.
Mr. Lehant, as we close this conversation, my final question to you, again, it focuses on your role. Do you have aspirations to be the political leader of the PNM, or play a leadership role in the executive council, or even a role in the upcoming general election?
I think we should deal with your first question. I mean, at this point in time, I have that aspiration to lead the PNM, to be part of that process. No, I have no aspiration to do that at all. And again, I mean, what I continue to fight for, as I said, is for the process. So that's very clear. I have served as a professional banker at the highest level in this particular country. And I have also served as a member of the PNM, and I've also served this country as a minister. And I mean, if the country at any point in time, any PNM leadership feels that they could utilize my services, sure, I am always available to serve the people of this country. But I'm also very happy, very contented to be able to look back, advise, and also to enjoy my retirement, which I have been doing. I just returned from a trip from the Antarctic, and I would love to be able to make some more of those trips. So this is not about me in any particular way. I am very comfortable where I am and what I am doing. This, to me, it's about lending a voice for the involvement of the membership of the party in this particular critical decision. You know, at the end of the day, it is ironic, it was Dr. Rowley who championed and who's been a champion for this process. Our party, as you know, was always a delegate system where you always had a few people coming together, making decisions on behalf of the party. And that particular process was changed to allow for everyone to participate, every single rank and file member. And I said, although we are trying to separate the process, it is difficult to separate the process when the Constitution caters for the process in a particular way. And therefore, we should attempt, where possible, which is what is available now, we should always attempt to get the people involved in the process. So that is my hope for General Council. I think the country is looking on at the PNM as a mature party and the different organs of the party to be able to do to be able to make mature decisions in keeping with the best interests of the party and the best interests of the country.
Mr. Lawrence, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. We continue to observe what is taking place, and for updates coming from the parties' meetings. Of course, the General Council set to meet tomorrow, which, if we do get information following that meeting, perhaps we would be better informed in going forward in terms of our conversations. But from this point of view, and from all that we know thus far, I thank you very much for your time, sir, and for joining us on the program, and the points that you raised as well.
Thank you very much, and Keaton, thank you, and thank you for the members and your listening public. All right, a hearty good morning to you. All the best for the new year and for Trinidad and Tobago. Let us move forward in 2025 in a positive way to be able to make this small island, these two twin island states of ours, the jewel that they are. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, sir. All the very best to you. Keep well.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I remind you that the General Council meeting is due to take place tomorrow, and we await to hear any further updates. At this time, all we are aware of is not much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a break and return shortly as we continue this morning's edition of the program. Stay with us.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus, quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience.
Give us a call at 235-5479
for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, Vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
The best birthday gifts are at dbesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices, like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the course of this week saw the conversations being dominated by what is happening within the People's National Movement. And as such, we have foregone more important conversations that are happening around us as well, such as the state of emergency, but particularly its impact on this carnival season. Carnival is a season. It seems as though carnival starts on Boxing Day and ends at 12. You wait until the very last minutes before Ash Wednesday rings in to say, all right, carnival is over. It's a season. It's something that we all look forward to, well, most of us anyway. And in that aspect, how is the state of emergency impacting upon our carnival product? By extension, how is the state of emergency impacting on our tourism product? Did we even have a tourism product that was very much easily identifiable and marketable prior to the state of emergency, when now we are having these conversations? I'm joined this morning by General Manager of the Chancellor Hotel, also, need I say, a columnist and an individual who has a wealth of experience as it relates to the tourism industry in Trinidad and Tobago, Miss Lisa Chandelier. Good morning, Miss Chandelier. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning to the audience.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. State of emergency, quite unfortunate, but seen as being absolutely necessary, given the intelligence and even national security where we are at as a nation. What is even more unfortunate is the timing. It's at the beginning of a new year and takes us right up into the carnival season. How has this news impacted upon the industry, the tourism industry in particular, and how could it impact upon carnival from an international tourist perspective?
Okay, so first of all, I've read so many different articles about the current state of emergency, and we could all postulate as to when this should have happened. Maybe last year, when they had the first AR rifle that came on the scene, or when the tourist who was shot on Arapita Avenue on foot just by driving along the road, that there could have been something that could have happened right after Carnival or right after Easter. But those are just postulations. We are in the situation where we have a state of emergency, and it is, of course, without restrictions. However, there will be discomfort along the way in terms of the traffic, and we don't know what other issues may occur in terms of what they will do to deal with the current state. At the moment, we don't even know if the state of emergency will go into Carnival period. Now, Carnival period is a time, it is a season. It starts, as you said, from Boxing Day, because we all want to know what is the best tune coming out, what we're going to jump up to. But, you know, it is now, and I think in terms of the communication about the state of emergency, I believe it's not really clear to many people about how it will impact them. Now, for us, I have seen already persons calling and asking what is happening, what will happen to them for Carnival. And, you know, I have to try and reassure them. But myself, I need reassurance also from the ministry. I need a reassurance from a communicator to tell me, okay, listen, guys, state of emergency is happening. We are going to have this event. Everything will be fine. We need some sort of level of reassurance. And that is from me speaking in terms of being involved in the industry. So at this point, I can't say how it will affect us later on if we don't start getting that level of reassurance, because as I said, we have to reassure the tourists, right? We already have the travel advisories. The one from US, Canada, it is very clear. Now we don't have hotspots anymore. It could be anywhere. This gang violence, extortion, just a guy running on the street trying to steal somebody's car. It can happen anywhere. So saying that there are hotspots is difficult to really identify. What will be the tourist expectations in terms of how would they affect their experience? That is a concern. What about the economic impact? And for us, we are looking at, okay, would we have a drop in sales? Would we see, obviously it will happen. I think, in my opinion, that's just my perspective, that it will happen, that people will be a bit cautious. I don't think any of the hoteliers are 100% filled. By now, I think I would have been myself. I would have been filled by June, July last year. I am still 20% out. I have 20% rooms available, and that's not normal. Whether I will see that business coming in, I'm not too sure. When you speak to even to the staff, my staff, you have to look at the human resources as well. Are they fearful? Do I have to cut their times because of transportation, or they're fearful if it's going to be difficult for them to get to work? Is it going to be that we do not have the business to sustain them? So that in itself would impact in terms of jobs. And then you have the reputational damage, which will be more or less what is the image of the country? How is it seen out there? If internally, meaning that the citizenry isn't too sure how the state of emergency is affecting them, how would an external person view that image of Trinidad and Tobago?
Isn't that the state of emergency then, we can say, at least up until this point, bear in mind it's just about 2 weeks, has had little impact on the sector? Using your example that last year, June, July, you would have been fully occupied. You're still 20% very much available in terms of occupancy. Does that suggest that the crime situation was having more of an impact on our tourist product and the industry itself?
Yes, the crime situation has impacted, and it can be seen by the occupancy levels for the entire year. The year before that, December was, I think, the worst month I've ever had in a year. And again, was it that people were scared because of it was the highest rate of death in the country in the month of December. So it has showcased itself in terms of my business, and I'm sure with others, because when you look at the deals that we are offering, all the hoteliers are throwing out deals or different things to sustain their business. You question, well, this never happened before. What is happening now for us to be putting out these deals to attract the business? So it has showcased itself, and I think it will continue until we are clear in terms of what is happening, or we are reassured. I like to use the word reassured. We are reassured as to what is happening to the industry in the state of emergency. Now, I could give you an example. In 2011, when they had the first state of emergency, which had a curfew from 9 to 5, right? I don't know if you really recall that one, but
I was around. Yes, I do recall that one.
Right. That one, it started in August and ended in December. When it ended in December, we were looking at no Christmas events. That would have been a time in which you would have parties going on. No, there wasn't any Christmas events. And that was in 2011. In the first quarter, in the third quarter and fourth quarter of 2011, I think on average there was about 20,000 inbound visitors, meaning that not necessarily visiting from abroad to stay in a hotel. I'm speaking about people who were coming in, maybe going back to their homes or whatever, but it was not really captured in terms of the data how many persons stayed at hotels or properties. So in that little timeline of August to December, it was one of our worst periods because again, we saw it, we felt it, we experienced it. Job loss, right? Again, we had to cut times. Curfew allowed us to now had to change the work times because when are the staff going to get out to work? How are they going to come back to work? So that in itself affected the workflow. If there were any flights coming in, what time are you going to shift the staff around to allow any inbound visitor coming in? How are you going to actually deal with that? Because you have to have kitchen staff, housekeeping, everything. So it did affect us in 2011. And there was, in terms of statistics, information that I read, again, there was a 60% decline in tourism. They showed that there was a low room occupancy and a stagnated industry in terms of what information we got in 2011. And again, as I said, I experienced it. Now, coming out of the state of emergency in 2011, there wasn't any support. There wasn't any reassurance again. There wasn't any marketing motivation to say that there would have been something to stabilize the industry. And now I'm reflecting from that to now, and I'm asking the question, what are we doing? Are we pushing at least the internal industry, meaning that are we doing staycations? Are we pushing that conversation to the market out there? Do not worry. If you want to stay at a hotel or guest house, it's available. These are places you can stay, your registered hotel, and give people that comfort that, listen, if I have to go out, at least I know I have a place that I could stay. It's a reasonable price. It's something in which the marketing could be done from the tourism agency side.
Tell me if this is reassurance. This is coming from the chairman of the NCC. When asked upon the impact of the state of emergency to visitors, what you would say. And I'm quoting him now. He says, to the people who are not Trinidadians and who are not in Trinidad and around, please feel free to come to Trinidad because those things are not directed to you and you're going to have a wonderful time. You are safe in this country. This is a safe country. Is that enough reassurance? Do you think that's enough?
I heard his statement. He has to say what he has to say. In other words, it's very difficult to try and market to an external person that come in, don't worry, we are safe. So I think he had to try and couch it in the best way as possible. I would say, likewise, I would agree with him. If you're not in any gang violence, it's expected that what they're doing should result in some sort of position in which we are in a better place. So yes, there should be some level of comfort to a tourist, really. I'm not too sure. I mean, I've visited Turkey, right, during a time of state of emergency, and it was a little bit uncomfortable. I wouldn't have to agree, but what was my expectation? I knew what I was going in for. I knew there was a little bit of that. I would see guards, I would see these things, but everyone kept asking me in Turkey, what are you doing? Why you came here during a state of emergency? So that was questioned to me, but I felt a little comfortable. So maybe perhaps likewise, I mean, right now there isn't anything in terms of any major activity except that they are trying their best to get all the guns and the ammunition, etc., and doing their best to quell any further gun violence and deaths. So yeah, I think it's a little bit, but then again, one has to consider that majority of people that come in for Carnival is the diaspora. So I don't know how it works with a diaspora, because you're talking about people who would say, hey, Keaton, you know, things real bad in this country, of a state of emergency. You better not come this year. You understand? So we would have that relationship. We tend to talk like that. So I don't know how it will work. It's yet to be seen. But as I said, I haven't been getting a flurry of calls to say, listen, I need to book you. I want 9 nights. I want nothing like that. Everything is 6, 5 nights max.
Have you, from your business perspective, and even from others in the industry whom you would be constantly in contact with, have you seen cancellations? Have people called to cancel their bookings because of this, as a result of this?
No cancellations. And again, we have a cancellation policy. So even if, because I know most of the guests that are coming in, I would be able, again, I'm a smaller property. I am more intimate with my guests. So it's easier for me to be one-on-one with a guest and to put my own strength towards securing their stay. So in itself, I act as a nice mediator to ensure that, you know, there will be safety. We will be here for you. We will make sure that your stay is comfortable. So I mean, I have that ability to do that. I'm not too sure about the other hoteliers, the larger ones, the larger properties. What is also interesting,
sorry, please continue. Yeah, no, go ahead.
What is also interesting, though, is that there was a discussion about we as hoteliers need to be clear and very focused in terms of who we allow to stay in our properties. Okay, so basically, if they know, gangs know where they're in a hotspot or hot area that these officers are going to come and clamp down on them, they may be looking for properties out of their area for their own benefit, whether they stay at hotels or Airbnbs. Interestingly enough, we got a phone call that suggests that all hoteliers should be more on the alert, be vigilant, be very clear who you are allowing to stay in your property, right? I'm not too sure how that will work. Well, and that's a normal practice in registered hotels. You go through the names, you make sure you identify the person, etc. I don't know how that will work with the Airbnbs. So would it be that the Airbnbs are now left open for gang members to go and stay at these properties? You understand? So how would that affect now Carnival bookings who are booking in a Airbnb property and next door there's a gang member?
This is, you said it earlier on. We don't have hotspots anymore. It's everywhere.
Correct.
So you can't tell. You can have perhaps the most pristine location, and you might not even know exactly who you're staying next to. And that is the thing now in TNT. We aren't entirely sure who's involved in what. And thing is, we don't even want to know, because you have to stay away from that now for your own safety.
Correct. And case in point, and it's a little sore topic at the moment. There was a young lady who was staying in West Moorings, there was a full raid in a gated community. So there you go. That is an example of where you are staying in a pristine environment and there's gang activity that is taking place.
I just want to expand a bit further to something that you said earlier, which is very much true in the sense that, you know, the number of people coming to Transmigo, we don't always have a figure, but, you know, from those that I've spoken to, they always say it is the diaspora that's returning home for Carnival and Carnival festivities. What does that suggest for international tourists? I mean, we're speaking about Trinidad and Tobago citizens who are based abroad, so they're foreign based. But actual foreign tourists, is our Carnival product, are we ignoring that quite possibly international tourists aren't necessarily that much interested in our Carnival product?
Okay, I have to breathe out here. That was a question asked years ago. This is not something that is just happening overnight. The marketing efforts that has taken place since TVC days were geared towards the diaspora. It was the easiest target market. I don't understand why they chose just the easiest target market, because the spend was the same amount of spend because you have to market, right? So we sort of lost ourselves in pushing this diaspora conversation. And that is why now you find that it is mostly the US market or the UK who are all coming back to Trinidad because they have some relative or family, etc. There was never any monies, and one of the marketing personnel, who's passed now, what he spoke to me about when I asked that question was that, listen, we don't have the marketing dollars to really push out to the other international clients. Now, what my take was, but we had them before. We had people coming in when we had the best marketers were like singing Rose, and the
Calypso
older
Rose and singing Sandra and
Rose and the other older folks who would have the music to entice people. So you had people coming in from Norway, you had people coming in from Germany, Austria. I remember those were our guests. Now you don't see that anymore. Everyone so far has been the diaspora. So their marketing worked for the diaspora. That's basically it.
Have we developed a marketing product or a marketing tool since? I know that visittrinidad.com was seen as a phenomenal avenue to push tourists towards getting all the information. I mean, I don't even know if we've seen some success or results from that, but I mean, from your experience, have we developed that product?
I don't think we have. We haven't developed our product. We haven't moved ourselves in terms of even producing luxury inventory. So you could have from small, medium sized properties, you could have low to budget to luxury. We don't have that in Trinidad nor in Tobago. And for instance, I'll just track back a little bit with Tobago. Tobago reliance for their carnival product is Trinidadians coming across, right? The few people that would come in from New York or from maybe the region may have a vested interest in coming in Tobago because they may be running an event, or they may have a relative and they said, you know what, I'm just coming in to wind down and enjoy a bit of carnival in Tobago. But the reliance of the tourism product for carnival in Tobago is directed to the Trinidadians. That's where the marketing dollars happen to go. And for Trinidad, we are stuck in that budget-focused type of guest who is coming in just to party, not on a cultural, I would say it's not on a cultural level. It's just a party, have a great time and go back. not as before when they would go to the shows, be interested in pan. That no longer exists.
You know, it's not that I'm ignorant to what is happening. You know, I very much am aware as per, the reliance on Trinidadians to keep the Tobago tourism sector alive throughout the course of the year. You've got international tourists, but nothing to sustain it. That being said, if it's the diaspora that's returning to Trinidad for Carnival, and if it's Trinidadians that are propping up the Tobago economy, there is no sort of sense in making an argument that the tourism industry can help us in foreign exchange and even be a significant player in the economy of Trinidad and Tobago.
I just hear that. I'm sorry to be chuckling all the time when you ask your questions, but it's so relevant, and it's a great way in which you are asking questions that you observe, because we are in the industry. I see it all the time. Prior to the 2011 SOE, there was a budget statement that spoke to the growth and development of tourism. Again, recently in October, the budget, the first statement that came out, we are diversifying and we're going towards the tourism, and tourism will be an economic driver, etc., etc. And now we are faced with the SOE. So, and you started your conversation saying, listen, if you have a tourism product, then you don't even have to bother about whether we have a SOE or not, because it will be people being comfortable and drawn to Trinidad and Tobago to visit. Right now, London is freezing cold. We are supposed to see Tobago lined with visitors on that beach. Lined. I was visiting Tobago for December, and I was in shock that I did not see, I probably counted 20 tourists, max, because my eyes are more open and focused in terms of what is happening in our industry. And I look at it both sides, Trinidad and Tobago. If you are seeing just 20 visitors coming in, you're asking yourself, well, where's everybody else? It's freezing. It's snowing in London. Londoners will travel to a place where they could just enjoy the sun and the sea and the sand. And funny enough, those 3 S's still sells, because that's what people understand. However, their choice is to go to Thailand. Their choice is to go to anywhere else, maybe St. Lucia, Bahamas, the other islands. Jamaica, even though Jamaica has its problems, they still go to Jamaica. Why is that? Comparing to Trinidad, it means to say Jamaica has their product out there, and people don't care whether they have gang violence. They know if they go into Jamaica in Montego Bay, Negril, they are comfortable, they are safe, because they have created it as a safe space for tourists. Even myself, yourself, we are locals in Trinidad. I have no problem going across Tobago, and I understand that there's gang violence there. But I, in my mind, believe that going to Negril or Montego is a safe space. So therefore, it comes back to your point where, what is your product? Are you pushing and promoting your product for the international market, that they don't need that level of reassurance? They will come anyway, because they know when they come to Trinidad or Tobago, it's lovely, you have a great time, it's safe, and they get their services that they need. Do we have that level of impact to the international market, regional market?
You used to hear stories in Tobago of foreign tourists coming and staying for the winter months on the island. They used to occupy hotel rooms for the winter months. So we're not speaking about a week-long stay. We were talking about
6 months.
months.
Yeah, 6 months was their stay. And even if you had to go across to Tobago, you are told by the girls at the desk, this is our winter period. This is our rate. Our rate is 3 times the amount. I mean, that happened. Now you could go there and you could get a room at a reasonable price. Why is that? So we have, I think we are not clear. And I did look at a few things. If we are marketing to the European markets in Tobago, and I have to say this because this caught my attention in Tobago, why don't we have cycle lanes? A simple thing. The world is moving towards that direction. If you travel anywhere, there's cycle lanes. If you are attracting that market and people who want to come to these islands and live the island life and cycle, then why aren't we even putting that across? We're building a huge airport, a very huge airport in Tobago, but we don't have basic infrastructure for the tourists for what they would like.
The thing is, who's responsible for this industry? I ask that because the answer seems so obvious, but you've got institutions that have, been established to deal with marketing, to deal with the industry, to bring all stakeholders together. But at the end of the day, it seems as though we're stagnant.
Yes, we are stagnant, and if I were to tie it back with what is happening with the SOE, a simple statement from the Tobago agency, one statement came out, the minister making a statement, NCC chairman made a statement. There has been no collaboration to date to share with the hoteliers, to share with the tour operators, to share with the taxis, etc., as a unified voice, a communicator within, to say, listen, guys, we're going to make it through. This is what we could look at. This is what we're going to do. There has been no conversation about that. And literally, I think the industry is just running on a daily basis. Whatever happens, happens.
As it relates to the actual products from bands and whatnot, we know very little of that, although you have made the point that it's the diaspora that retains Silver Carnival, so we might not necessarily see too much of a severe impact there. At this point, is that the attitude that can be adopted or the only attitude that should be adopted? We just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait throughout the course of the state of emergency, and who knows?
And I do hope that they do their due diligence and take their statistics, take their information, and they do their due diligence and speak to us, because at the end of the day, the job market is affected. We have, and it's the time in which we are living in terms of cost of living is very high. So the concern in terms of cost of living is very high. So the concern in terms of what I would have and other hoteliers and the tour operators is how would it affect the job market? In other words, you are looking at people saying, why am I going to be in the tourism sector? It's so unstable. I would not be able to commit to a work time because something happens and you have to be flexible. It's unfair. It's unfair to people.
Indeed, and you pointed out something there. Carnival usually creates a lot of temporary employment. People,
of course.
Yeah, and again, who knows what's going to happen?
This is the time you have to start planning. You have to put things in place. You have to make sure that when the period starts, well, it started already, but when you have to make sure that everyone is there at work, and you have to be able to have all things in place. If you don't know if there's business coming in tomorrow, what are you putting in place?
Yeah. Well, at this point, I have to agree with the approach that is being adopted, because there's very little reassurance that has been given, and it's a very good point that you made. We have not had all these issues addressed. It's been 2 weeks, but given the period that we're in, perhaps hearing from the Minister of Tourism or other entities that falls under the Ministry of Tourism, we should have learned a lot more at this point. It's actually more so the stakeholders, the ones who actually rely on this industry for business, that have spoken out a lot more.
Right,
They've expressed their concerns.
Yeah, we have to be the voice, the mediator towards the guest coming in. So where's my level of reassurance? Where's my level of comfort? Where's the staff levels of comfort so that they can actually be able to share that information with guests?
And the thing is, if you can't, if you yourself don't have that reassurance and you're in the industry, I wonder how I should feel as a person looking on. So, but Nishandelia, thank you very much for joining us on the program
You're
this morning.
welcome.
Thank you for your time and for the conversation. And of course, we await to hear more as throughout the course of the season, emergency, but we also hope for the best. We do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Take care. All the very best. Keep well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in that sense, we thank Ms. Chandelier for joining us on the program this morning and for having this conversation. Though the focus was primarily on the state of emergency, we expanded a bit in relation to issues affecting the industry as a whole, that this state of emergency can only compound. And there's a lot to be addressed. We know that for quite some time now. But as I've been mentioning, I'm hearing more from those who have invested in this industry, the actual stakeholders, the actual businesses, than those in authority. And that in itself is worrisome. It's as though they don't know what to say or they don't know what to do. Before we close the program this morning, I am receiving some information here from sources. It is so the information I'm receiving is that another attorney at law has been murdered. Another senior at law, and their husband actually was found murdered. It's said to be 60-year-old attorney at law, Kunari Baksh, and her husband, 67-year-old Nasheed Baksh, who is her law clerk. Another attorney at law has been found murdered. Both were found tied up, gagged, and murdered at their Kamuta home around 7 p.m. last evening. According to this particular report, the attorney was found lifeless in her bedroom on the upper floor of their home. Her husband was found in the living room, also lifeless. Investigators, again, according to this report, also observed that the TNT meter to the house was missing and the house was ransacked. So again, just to let you know that these are number 6 and 7 for the year of 2024. A 60-year-old attorney at law Kunari Baksh and her husband, 67-year-old Nasheed Baksh, have been found murdered at their Kamuto home. This was at around 7 o'clock last night. So just updating you on some information that is coming into us. And of course, throughout the course of the day, you can stay tuned to WSN News for more information. Perhaps Sean Michael Small will update you when he joins the lineup this morning at 8 a.m. for Talking Point. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as best as possible, try to look after yourself, try to look after your safety and your well-being as best as possible. It's only so much you can do now. I don't mean to sound sad, I don't mean to sound negative, but that's just the reality. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we end this program, thank you very much to all my guests who have joined me on the program this morning. Of course, with Mr. Robert LaHunt as our first guest and Miss Lisa Chandelier joining us for that last conversation. And of course, to you, the viewer, who make this program possible. Without you, there'd be no AM Prime. There'd be no sense having AM Prime, no sense in hosting AM Prime. So thank you very much for your continued support, your continued emails and calls that we receive on a daily basis, your commentary and your recommendations. We certainly appreciate that. Feel free to contact us anytime. The number is on your screen. You can call us in anytime throughout the course of the day. You can send us an email and feel free to reach out to us at any time with suggestions, comments. We'd love to hear from you. If there's something that you like to talk about, who never knows? You might be the next guest on AM Prime. If you are seeking an opportunity, it's right there. It's available to you. To my team in studio, to Ryan Gomezberg and Milewood for their continued hard work every morning and doing what they do best, thank you very much. And of course, to Naomi McNish for co-producing this program, thank you very much. You should be seeing her on AM Prime, putting on the spot. You should be seeing her more on AM Prime in times to come. We're working on the logistics for that. I'm Keaton Shaw, reminding you today is a good day to have a good day. Make it a great one, Trinidad and Tobago. We'll see you again very soon. Bye. Bye-bye.
WESN.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.